Hi, haters! I got Battlefield 6. Go ahead. Get it out of your system. I can hear the laughter from here. Matter of fact, I'll join in with you. You dumb lord ass. You knew you couldn't resist. As usual, you run your mouth and then you go out and get the damn game. You are a creature of habit, old man. You don't really have a sense of humor sometimes, unless you can actually laugh at yourself. So what the hell happened? Well, the Battle Royale came out. What else? You know how I am with Battle Royales. I barely play them. So that's not the excuse. So Battlefield RedSec launched, which is probably the worst name ever for anything in gaming. It stands for Redacted Sector, but I know there's at least one juvenile person out there that's probably like, Battlefield RedSec? That sounds like a porn site. Now that we've been thoroughly demonetized, the free-to-play Battle Royale came out for Battlefield 6. So I downloaded it because it was free. And little did I know, this is probably DICE's plan all along, that the Battle Royale is pretty much the demo. For those of us who aren't really into Battle Royales, that might noodle around in a match or two, just for curiosity, the free-to-play Battlefield 6 Battle Royale is definitely serving the purpose of an old-fashioned game demo. If you want to play around with the guns and run around and see how the controls are and stuff like that and see what Battlefield looks like these days, the Battle Royale is exactly how you can get into the game on the cheap and see if you really want to buy it. Speaking from experience! So here's the thing. Once again, I'm going to have the unpopular take that's not going to get any views on YouTube because let's face it, we just got done talking about how YouTube is a crapshoot. The algorithms, let's not forget, no matter how depressing it is, are computers. Computers have no common sense, so the computers aren't going to know what the hell to do with my video, so I'm not going to get any views. Mystery solved. Anyways, now that we're done being all Scooby-Doo about it, so, yeah. Anyways, I really think that Battlefield RedSec is the demo that's supposed to sell copies of Battlefield 6. People noodle around in the Battle Royale, and it basically is a demo. It introduces you to bits and pieces of the game, but nerfs the hell out of your progression. People are like, oh, you gotta buy the Battle Pass, otherwise your progression is nerfed. Well, I did get the Battle Pass at a discount, just like I got the game at a discount. EA Play? Yup. So, as you folks know, the game subscription thing with Game Pass, especially from my rantings about it, which go off the beaten path in the vlogosphere about current events. But, excuse me, we know that what happened with video streaming is now happening with game subscription services. There was a comprehensive service at the beginning, Xbox Game Pass, just like there was a comprehensive service with video streaming like Netflix. And now, rights holders, the technology is getting mature enough that rights holders want a piece of the action. So rights holders are getting into stodgier and stuffier negotiations with the comprehensive services while launching their own service. And now it's turning into rights holder services. Similar to how there's like a plus service for everything under the sun these days. Whoever owns a bunch of stuff probably has a plus service that you subscribe to for access to it. It's a toggleable subscription. You turn it on and off just like anything else, but you know, just keep track of where your money's going. It's not that hard. You know, I managed MMO subscriptions for years, deciding I want to be in this game, but not this game, and I'd switch between them, and I would never, except with ESO, which had benefits if you just let the subscription keep going, even if you weren't playing, you know, I would actually toggle things on and off. But yeah, so part of what happened with Xbox Game Pass is that Xbox Game Pass turned into, I think it's what happened with Game Pass Ultimate is eventually going to get worse. Game Pass Ultimate is a giant bundle palooza, but I'll betcha that the negotiations are getting harder and harder for Microsoft versus the rights holders like Ubisoft and EA to keep that service alive. It'll probably eventually become Microsoft only. On the PlayStation side, PlayStation Plus is basically a PlayStation service. You never had bundling for EA or anything like that. There might be a few EA games that get negotiated into the PlayStation service independently, but they are getting negotiated out as these things expire. So EA Play is charting its own course, couple bucks a month to for the EA games in your whatever subscription service you want to have, so you can pay the equivalent of an MMO sub, maybe, or two, for a fake game collection. Hey, if consumers would pay monthly for a video game for 20 years with World of Warcraft, why wouldn't they pay monthly to instantly get access to a digital game collection? You know, and just turn it off when they're not playing video games. Funny how that works. He's a corporate shilling for the billion-dollar companies. Yeah, well, cable TV did the same thing. You know, you couldn't. Cable TV did the same thing, but it was a bit less elastic as a market, so people didn't toggle their cable service as much as, you know, they would do with the subs nowadays. It's just business, plain and simple. So with the changes, Xbox, unless you get that overpriced bundle palooza, and I don't play enough Fortnite to justify Game Pass Ultimate, your Game Pass service is basically Microsoft. Just like your PlayStation service is basically PlayStation and anything under their umbrella. And the EA one, can you guess? EA! Battlefield, The Sims, whatever other EA games you can think of that you might actually play. EA Sports. It's in the game. If you play more than one sports game at a time, maybe, you know, never having to buy the latest Madden because you pay $5 a month or whatever, or maybe EA Play will be your MMO subscription, so to speak, because you never want to buy, you don't want to keep buying Maddens every year as the price continues going up. You never know. I mean, no, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to gaming, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach to how you spend your money. So what I did was I brainstormed. I was this darn joint. I got all my working with my hands over the years has given me a popping joint in this finger. That's how you know one reason I'm old. But anyways, so here's the thing. I was like, I did some brainstorming, and I was like, can I justify a month of EA Play? Is there another EA game that I'm interested in playing with if I buy the subscription for like a month and get like discounts on the Game Pass, etc., so I can at least say I saved at least a little bit off of the retail price of the damn game? The answer is yes. So I basically bought coupon stuff. The numbers probably barely work out, if at all. But Battlefield is now past the honeymoon period. It's obviously got some staying power, and there's now going to be new players coming in and checking it out because the Battle Royale is basically a game demo. And here's how it's a game demo, if I can stop rambling so damn much. You know me, though. So you get Battlefield 6. Battlefield RedSec. Dumbest name ever. You get over the silly name. Battlefield RedSec is basically the Battlefield 6 demo. You get access to the Battle Royale. You go in and you noodle around like it's Call of Duty Warzone or something like that, except it's a fire instead of poison gas at the edge of the map. So, unfortunately, Battlefield used up the Firestorm name for the Battle Royale in Battlefield 5, so boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. It would have been so much better if Battlefield 6's Battle Royale was Firestorm. So, or they could have done like Firestorm 2 or something like that. Who knows? Make it like a sequel or something. I don't know. That's their decision, and ultimately, if it doesn't work out, that's their problem. They have the dumbest name ever in Battle Royales, other than PUBG. No, seriously. If you don't know what PUBG is, it sounds like a frickin' bar. Who even says PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds anymore? Of course, what was it? HCXTZ? What was it? We played an old Battle Royale that was literally 4 letters. I forgot the name of it. Whatever. I could fire up my PlayStation and H1Z1, I think was that the name of it, or is that like frickin' swine flu or something? H1Z1 Battle Royale. Oh, I guessed correctly. Yeah, the Z1 Battle Royale. I am like a crazy train here. Not rest in peace, Ozzy, but I am totally going off the rails. So yeah, so dumbass name for a battle royale. You go in, you find the guns all littered around the map, and you do like the reality TV of gaming. Everybody drops in, and you want to be the sole survivor. You do your battle royale thing. The thing is, the guns, I think the guns you unlock, or not necessarily unlock, but I mean, when you're not fooling around in the battle royale, you still have access to the firing range, so you can mess around with the guns and practice aiming and stuff like that, and just practice in general how you play the game. So you have access to something besides boring yourself to death with battle royales. But I would say though, this is probably the greatest idea for a game demo out there. And of course, I think Portal can work with the Battle Royale assets for custom versions of the Battle Royale. If someone wants to make a Portal experience that takes place, no bots yet, so no bot matches. But if someone wants to make a custom version of the Battle Royale, they can use the Battlefield Portal system in order to do that. But yeah, so it basically turned into the game. It turned into the demo of the game for me. How long have we been rambling about how it was a frickin' demo? Ooh, 11 minutes. No wonder nobody watches my videos. Yeah. There's numerous other reasons, too. YouTube's part of it. Some stuff I do is part of it. And, of course, people have their varying interests out there. So the people out there are part of it. We all have our place in the circle of life. So... yes, I bought Battlefield 6. Battlefield is one of the wild exceptions to game series that to me not buying games new. I just wanted, there were some screwball things at launch that have been worked out in the first major patch, and the Battle Royale is probably going to attract a lot more people in who are going to start complaining if it's not right. And knowing EA and the way they treat games and the momentum that Battlefield 6 has, particularly when it's kicking Call of Duty while it's down, and some of us out there don't want Peter Griffin with a neon pink AK-47 blowing us away like with some of the goofy skins that Call of Duty has nowadays. Why the heck isn't that just all Fortnite? Maybe because it's Fortnite's not a first-person game? Hey, what would it be? I wonder if Fortnite could become a first-person game. Then we'll have a cartoony battle royale that works with like everything. You mean to tell me that Epic Games hasn't fooled around with that idea? I don't know. Or would that become too much like cartoon Unreal Tournament if they did that? Either way, getting off track here. But FPS with a Battle Royale mode serves as a demo, way to get into the game, and if you can think your way through it and come up with something that you can basically say, oh, I at least spent 10% less getting the game if I can justify the subscription to EA Play some other way, which I can. So cool. Plus, I started out a little ahead because, remember, folks, I caught a publisher sale on the Game Pass side back before the stuff got split off, where Battlefield 5 Definitive Edition cost me a grand total of $2. So I'm a little ahead in the game. So yeah, I'm not being a frugal gamer as much as I normally like to be with all my little $5 and $10 games that I'm constantly getting on sale. But this is I think this can be one of the wild exceptions. The only issue I have with the Zoomer Battlefields is that they just got to watch how much influence they take from Call of Duty. Call of Duty has some pretty good campaigns and stories and some good multiplayer when it's not like Peter Griffin, mowing you down with a hot pink AK-47 or whatever. I have some of the older Call of Duties, which I'm circling back through and getting like achievements and trophies on the retro platforms to see what the hoopla's been about for the past 20 years. But I could also get them on Steam to get the Steam achievements if there are any. But anyways, just to say I did it and get them off the bucket list, I do have some of the other Call of Duties, and I like the formula where it tells a story, then there's multiplayer, and it's mostly infantry with a little bit of vehicles. Battlefield, going all the way back to the original 1942, is not that. Battlefield is straight up war, and infantry does not rule the day. I think the vehicles in the Battlefield games are way too weak compared to their historical forebears. The Battlefield games are the vehicles are way too weak. Infantry should have to team up to take down tanks, planes, jets, the whole 9 yards. If something now everything has its counter, but for planes it's anti-aircraft guns. Not necessarily. I mean, lock on missiles and stuff. Then you have countermeasures and things like that. You can get into that sort of thing, but it's now if you remember GWAT, it was very, very lopsided at times, with us versus the ragtag terrorists in Afghanistan and stuff. Constantly hearing the war highlights and stuff like that. It was rare for the makeshift, outdated weapons in Afghanistan and Iraq to shoot our planes down. But I'll let the folks that were more into that follow it. But it just seems like the military vehicles in the modern Zoomer battlefields are kind of like made of paper, especially the transports that nobody ever wants to drive. So I usually am the idiot that distracts a lot of soldiers by driving around like a maniac, like I'm playing Forza. If I have nothing better to do and I'm way away from the action, I'll grab one of those transport vehicles that nobody ever wants that blows up in like 2 hits, and I'll drive like a nutcase, honking the horn everywhere, and usually have my joyride ended by driving over a mine. One less mine on the roads in those 2 small maps. So, either way, I'm not going to pretend to be a big military guy. I just like historical wargaming type stuff. I was in the wargaming club in high school, so that bias has carried through to today, where I prefer the more historical shooters. I'm more of a fan of like the historical Call of Duties, and I'm more of a fan of the historical Battlefields than I am of present day, future, near future, things like that. I mean, I did play the OG Star Wars Battlefront game that was obviously sci-fi, but that's freaking Star Wars. For the most part, I want to see the history represented in at least some way. We know Battlefield 1 took a lot of liberties with the weapons technology in order to turn World War I into a first-person shooter. Also, the sides being balanced is another thing. Austria-Hungary should be an embarrassment in Battlefield 1, but it's not for gameplay reasons. And there are lots of times when, gameplay trumps history, or, totally like smooshes the history. But at least the history is somewhere in there with those games, as opposed to private mercenary army splits NATO, and we're trying not to offend anybody by having it was Pax Armata is a pretty interesting idea for a villain in a Battlefield game, and believable if you mess around in the goofball story behind it. But it's not a very good story, but for the most part, Battlefield was trying not to tick off any audiences, so we can have more players playing in more parts of the world, which speeds up matchmaking and stuff like that. So a fictitious conflict with a fictitious entity, I think I can work with that, as long as the game's actually fun. And the maps mostly being too small basically guarantee that the chaos and pandemonium that I've come to expect from Battlefield games is very well represented in Conquest mode. The jump-sliding Call of Duty kids can go try to headshot each other from 2 feet away in the smaller modes with no vehicles. But I just uncheck those boxes when I queue up. I want to see the big stuff with the vehicles, the vehicles you have to take into account, even if some of the vehicles seem like they're made out of paper mache. I'm very, very interested in what happens in Battlefield Portal. Maybe we'll see some maps with stronger vehicles and some other cool custom modes as well. Now there's an SDK that people can mod with. But that's a totally different discussion altogether. What do you know? Another 20-minute vlog, and I wonder why. And I wonder why people don't watch my videos when I just sit here yammering for 20 minutes. With my ugly ass fat face on camera, hiding the double chin because I'm frickin' fat. But hey, microphones with booms are frickin' handy to not disgust people as much as I would otherwise. That's the way it goes these days. Yeah, age sucks. Age happens. So I got Battlefield 6. You all can make fun of me now. Make sure to be like, I told you so, you dumbass. I'm sure some of you will do that. And quite frankly, I have no leg to stand on. I was preaching on my soapbox about, I want to wait until the game goes on sale. But it's so popular right now that matchmaking is super quick. So if I'm going to experience a lot of the modes of the game, I might as well jump in when we have all these Call of Duty refugees that are mad at Black Ops 7 that are like, Battlefield should be more like Call of Duty because I'm stuck playing this game because Activision sucks. Oh well. It's why I play reconnaissance a lot. Fly drones, light up targets, so all the jump sliding COD kids can have something to shoot. Pay attention to your mini map, folks. So yeah, okay. Well, go ahead, start laughing at me. I got Battlefield 6. My soapbox fell apart from underneath my fat ass. What are you gonna do? It's my money. This is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.